Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Tank Observers podcast. My name is Jackson McCarty, as always joined by my co-host Chris Barr. And Chris, what are we doing today?
A mock draft!
We are.
It's fun. It's going to be fun stuffs.
We're taking a break from the superlatives for a second to bring you our first mock draft. The order is almost set. We just have the big game. I don't know if they'll take our video down for saying the word, because that's been a notorious thing.
Probably.
But yeah,
wouldn't.
the big game is coming up with the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. We currently have the Chiefs at 32, the Bucs at 31. But for the premise of this mock draft, no trades. We're straightforward, calling it like we see it. And let's just go ahead and announce the first 5 picks.
Let's do that.
All right, so we've got Jacksonville going with Trevor Lawrence at first overall, quarterback for Clemson. The Jets going Justin Fields from Ohio State. Miami going Jamar Chase from LSU. Atlanta settling with Zach Wilson out of BYU. And Cincinnati picking up Penei Sewell, the tackle from Oregon. Now,
settling with Zach Wilson.
I messed that one up. I was just trying to change how I was saying it. No disrespect to Zach Wilson. Topher thinks you are very cute. But
it's not a thing. You don't think facts. Facts just are things.
Regardless, Trevor Lawrence, we don't have to talk about that one. Everybody knows why Trevor Lawrence is going there, and they've known that he's going there since the dawn of time. But at number 2, I would like to point out we still have them going quarterback. I think that the Jets are a very, very high trade down candidate.
Makes sense.
They've been talking a lot about how, we think we can go with Darnold and feel comfortable. If you're staying at 2, that means the pick was not sent to Houston for Deshaun Watson.
I wouldn't be surprised if the pick winds up them switching 2 and 4. Atlanta, I feel like, would thrive with a mobile quarterback. And, funny enough, bring it back to those Mike Vick days with a little bit of scrambler. Justin Fields, maybe certainly not the athlete that Vick was.
No.
I don't think we'll see one like that for a while. But at the quarterback at least.
Yeah.
But I think Lamar Jackson. But, regardless.
Yeah,
I think that makes a lot of sense. Atlanta moving up for Justin Fields.
Yeah, but since we're not going to do trades in this one, Fields is going to stick to 2. Topher, tell me a little bit about pick number 3.
Jamar Chase?
Yeah.
Well, you see, Miami loves self-sabotage, so they're not going to take Sewell. If they took Sewell, that would mean they could move Austin Jackson to a position I think he'd be far more comfortable at the right tackle. Because I think he'd be a lot more comfortable in far more of a run-blocking role.
Yes.
And then they have Sewell just anchoring the left side.
Being a hoss.
Yeah, but see, they're not going to do that because why would they? They're going to take Jamar Chase because he's a super athletic receiver that's going to run very well alongside of Devontae Parker, who's a red zone threat and just a big jump ball monster.
Yeah.
Really just Alshon Jeffrey with better hands. And Jamar Chase is going to do fine. He's going to be very good. But he's not Penei Sewell.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the one that made this pick. I just don't see Miami making the selection for Sewell. I see them taking Jamar Chase, which isn't a bad pick. It's just, I think that there's a better pick that they could make.
I absolutely agree. I've been a big take Sewell, worry about the rest later for Miami. But Jamar Chase is an easy one to imagine here. Like I mentioned, Zach Wilson and Atlanta kind of fitting in for that future quarterback role. And Cincinnati getting their tackle that we thought they were going to get at the beginning of the year with Sewell. But looking at the next 5 picks, we're going to break this down into 5s and focus on the more controversial or interesting picks. We've got Philly at 6, Devonta Smith. Detroit getting a quarterback in Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. Carolina grabbing a linebacker in Micah Parsons. Denver getting Pat Surtain, the cornerback from Alabama. And number 10, Rashawn Slater going to the Lone Star State of Dallas, Texas. And as I kind of look down this list, I'm seeing, first off, I want to talk about number 7. Matt Stafford is on his way out. They've already announced it. And Motor City Dan Campbell, who has been one of the most entertaining people over this offseason thus far, he'll need a QB. And lucky for him, the offensive coordinator that they just signed, Anthony Lynn, has a history of developing mobile quarterbacks. Herbert can move. And he has had Tyrod both in Buffalo, which is where he came before LA,
Of course.
and now he had him before the doctor kind of got in there.
Yes, and Trey Lance is most certainly mobiler.
Yes. Yes, 100%.
I couldn't let that slide. But yes, Trey Lance has that. I believe we comped him to Colin Kaepernick.
Yes.
When you were writing about him, and I love that comp. I think that running some RPOs and just some zone reads with Swifty would just be the most fun thing in football.
It's gonna be so.
And I get to watch the Vikings stomp on them twice a year, so I get to watch that and enjoy a victory. It'll just be so great. Gladney picks them off 3 times a game.
Yeah, I really think that fit alone is going to be very fun, and it's going to be kind of modeled after this scary, intense, interesting thing that Dan Campbell's going for right now. And no matter what happens with him,
intense.
Biting off kneecaps. He's a scary man, and I'm sure you guys have heard all about it. If you haven't, please, I beg you to go watch
It's
his
like
his
Adam
introduction.
Gase, but inspiring.
Yes, it's like he did the right of mouth drugs rather than what Adam Gase did. But as I look down the list, we're seeing some guys that make sense. Parsons going to Carolina because they need their Kuechly. Denver going with a corner because they've lost Harris and
And they have Boye.
yeah, they have Boye left now. Talib's gone. Number 10, they could have easily gone corner. Caleb Farley's still on the board. Tell me why Dallas decided to go with Rashawn Slater.
Because he checks off every box on their list. When you have an offensive lineman that is not only plug and play Pro Bowl caliber, I put up finger quotes because I'm not entirely sold. I don't really care for guys that can play every position. I want you to be really good at least one.
That's fair.
So while I may not be high on him, that's my own opinion. I could very well be wrong, but I don't think I am. But Rashawn Slater, you can run all 5 positions. They can pick what injured lineman they want him to step in for. So when you have a guy like that and he's available at 10 and you have 2 positions that are potentially up for grabs, I think Tyler Beadot's kind of started to solidify his role at center. I thought he had a lot of good play with the Cowboys later in the season. And I didn't like what Connor Williams was doing. And I think that he could slide in. We were discussing that he might have EFS anyway.
Yes.
So you could move him into the left guard spot, and he could be a plug-and-play starter for them.
He has the size that indicates EFS.
That's 6'3", athletic and power. He could swing around nicely. He was doing that tackle for some reason.
For those who are unfamiliar, EFS stands for Eric Flowers syndrome, a tackle who needs to be a guard. Rashawn Slater could very well have that, but I like his versatility. The big, scary Dallas offensive lineman that we grew up watching, starting to drop like flies. Frederick's gone. Tyron could be out next. They need a new face and somebody who feels right with the program, and I support the Rashawn Slater pick.
Yeah, Tyron Smith, not Tyron Matthew. Completely different position, size, and player. But Tyron Smith, the fact that he's only a year older than Zach Martin, and just the injuries he's sustained, if he can get 2 more healthy years, let Rashawn Slater get comfortable at left guard, and then get a new left tackle rather than having a relatively undersized tackle in Rashawn Slater, I think that would be best. But Tyron Smith has just gotten so many injuries.
Yeah, and that'll be a fun one to watch because they have a few different ways they could go. Looking at the next 5 selections, we have the Giants taking Jalen Waddle out of Alabama. The Niners going with Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. Another Virginia Tech player going to the Chargers in Christian Darrisaw. Another Christian going to the Vikings in Christian Barmore. And at 15, the Pats will be taking Kyle Pitts. The first one I want to talk about here, Farley feels right. Waddle, the Giants need another receiver. Darrisaw, Fitz goes across the end from Balaga. Christian Barmore, this is your team. I left the pick completely up to you. Now I want you to sell me on it.
I'm not sure how much selling I'll be doing, but I like Barmore.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see him shooting up boards. And when I make my selections, I draft on what I believe the team will pick, not what I think they need necessarily. While there wasn't a corner on the board that I was comfortable taking this early.
Fair.
Or I don't think the Vikings would be comfortable taking this early. They sat, they waited, they took Gladney and they took Dantzler, which solid picks, fine. They were both starting as rookies. They all expected to struggle. But I think Barmore can come in and he can play at a relatively high level. I think he can play for a good rookie. He'll be alongside Michael Pierce, who I think a lot of people forgot was even in the league.
I kind of did, yeah.
Yes, so Michael Pierce will be returning. He took the year off. He sat out for COVID, which, fine. Certainly a massive cap hit to be sitting out for COVID, but you do you. But I think Barmore is going to slide in nicely. We're not looking to start Shamar Stephen and Jaleel Johnson again.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's your best course of action, but I like the fit there because
I think
Barmore is a wrecking ball. Shamar Stephen is not the answer.
He's going to add a rush presence that we didn't have. We had two slightly below up quality run stuffers.
Yeah. And at this point, it's getting
edge rushers.
At this point, the other side, which I think would probably be your second biggest need, interior offensive line, is it kind of a reach here. Elijah Vera-Tucker doesn't feel like the pick.
I was certainly considering Wyatt Davis.
Yeah, I love Wyatt Davis, but he's for some reason kind of falling for whatever particular reason.
See, if he's there in the second round, we don't take him. I might have to, make some calls.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be taking those. Really
no, not to the Vikings, to Hitman, so that we can get a new GM.
Yeah, say that one on video, see how that goes over. So I'm going to focus here on New England because that seems like the second most interesting pick to me in this whole kit and caboodle. Look, it's no secret. The Patriots are really good when they have a really good tight end. And maybe he doesn't know who's throwing to him yet. But Kyle Pitts fits the mold of just this overpowered, dominant tight end that is going to come in and just eat up so much focus that, for one, it's going to make life easier for guys like N'Keal Harry, for guys Jacoby Myers, if they keep him around, Edelman, if he stays alive.
I think Jacoby Myers will be kept.
Fair.
I think Jacoby Myers will stick around. I think N'Keal Harry's getting traded.
Really? Already?
Certainly.
Fair enough.
I think he's already out of favor. He's already out of favor. He's already so low on the depth chart. Julian Edelman, I think, will be around for another year. It's just the quarterback is such a question mark.
The quarterback is a question mark, but it makes whoever it is life so much easier with Pitts there. Because for one, he's an insane target. And for two, if they're double teaming him, there's more space on the field for other guys to get into clean windows. So,
yes, and when you have a receiver that is disguising themselves as a tight end, like Pitts does, I think that he could draw some doubles. I just don't think there is necessarily a one safety or one linebacker that can hang with him athletically and size-wise.
no.
He's just one of those monster mismatches. Frankly, like Jordan Reed was for that period of time that he was just
for 2 years before his, the concussions.
The concussions, of course.
Which I cannot believe he's still playing, but that
He's playing well, too.
that gets us through the top 15. Now let's get to the back half of the draft. The next 5 picks are Arizona going Travis Etienne, Las Vegas going Kwity Paye, Miami drafting a tackle, probably going to be the right tackle, in Sam Cosmi, Washington going Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame, and Chicago grabbing a quarterback in Mac Jones. Topher, just the very top pick. Kenyon Drake is in Arizona. He's a free agent, but he's still an option. What are we thinking for Etienne there?
Kenyon Drake will be walking because let me put it as simply as I possibly can. Kenyon Drake isn't good at football. Travis Etienne is very good at football. It's a perfect fit. Just that alone, but it's all seriousness. Etienne's big playability sets him apart vastly from his classmates as far as running backs go.
Yeah.
Even in Najee Harris, the speed, explosiveness, and just the lateral, it's going to sound maybe strange, but the lateral speed, his ability to just step in and out of cuts is unmatched in this class, or at least amongst the running backs.
Right.
I think maybe Rondell Moore can keep up with him on that front, but
Just wait till you hear about Rondell Moore.
but it's just that he sets himself apart with that in and out ability. He is going to be incredible with or without an offensive line. Right now, the offensive line in Arizona is questionable.
shaky.
But Etienne, I don't see that slowing him down. He is an incredible athlete and running back.
Yeah, he could certainly be a lot of fun. Keeps him from having to pay Kenyon Drake. I like that selection. Moving down to 19, we're going to be focusing on Washington. They have so many options here.
When it comes to Washington, you can argue that they need a lot, but also are pretty good in a lot. It's their defense. You can be like, oh, they could add a corner, but why would they?
It's like Darby bald, Fuller bald. It's like
they could add a receiver, but free agency is just a better option. They could add a tackle, but who here is worth spending that pick where you could put it somewhere else?
yeah,
Washington's a bit of an enigma.
Cosme's a better right tackle. Eichenberg doesn't feel like he quite fits what they're trying to do. So instead, why not go grab a linebacker
It's a head scratcher.
who can not only develop alongside Cole Holcomb, which Cole Holcomb has been a phenomenal linebacker since he was drafted.
Yes. Terrific.
Yeah, he's far outplayed what value he was initially given. I think Washington will be in the race for one of Corey Davis, Sammy Watkins, Allen Robinson.
Something tells me Corey Davis
Chris Godwin.
is surprisingly one of the better fits.
Yes.
I don't know what it is, but I think it's just he'll take less away from Terry.
Look at AJ Brown.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's the exact same role. It's do what you're doing with AJ Brown.
Yep.
And if you can pull that off, you can get him for probably closer to 10, 11, 12. Which is, but you're looking at A-Rob at 15, 16, 17. You're like, you know what?
18.
I'll take that. But it's just, if you can go ahead, get another leader on defense behind Chase Young, behind Ioannidis, Allen, Payne, Sweat.
So many.
Your front seven now is one of the top. It's hard to argue that that's not a top three front seven with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
It is crazy, and you'll likely be bringing back Kevin Pierre-Lewis.
Likely.
Is that expected?
He's a free agent. I think Reuben Foster will probably be let go.
Yeah, that makes more sense, because Reuben Foster, what has he been doing?
He's been hurt for 2 years.
No.
Yeah, and we've been paying him like $5 million or something crazy. Regardless, that's what I kind of think Washington will do at this current pick since Darrisaw didn't fall through.
Yes.
And I want to focus on 20 just kind of briefly because it's interesting because Mitch Trubisky is probably going to walk. I don't think that they'll be bringing him back. And Mac Jones makes his way into Chicago. Why do you think that's kind of what they'll do?
I think at the higher level, the NFL, he won't go as crazy.
No.
And in this offense, even more so, which I think is transitioning into more of a rushing offense with David Montgomery having a bit of a breakout year.
Yes.
I think he's just going to be sitting in as more of a game manager. And I think that's going to be a perfect fit for him. I think that game managing is something that he will not only excel at, but he'll be one of the higher tier guys and maybe even develop into a guy who can win you games.
Why Mac Jones's fit is very similar to why I like Garoppolo in Chicago. He's not going to screw up the game.
No, he will do his best to score a touchdown and throw for 250 yards and just get David Montgomery inside the 10-yard line.
Exactly. He's not a super threat, but he's going to keep it consistent. He's going to get you from A to B, and you're going to be like, yeah, that was satisfactory. You're not going to be like, oh my God, this guy this is the one. We finally got our Patrick Mahomes. You're going to be like, okay, we got our Derek Carr.
And this is, I could see him almost taking like this Dak Prescott route to success. Come in, play mistake-free ball, progress alongside a young running back, and then slowly take over the team.
Yeah.
And if he could do that, then, I mean, I know I think he's just going to take that road to success. I think he's going to be the next Dak Prescott.
I like that.
Except maybe not throwing 5,000 yards a season. That might be a stretch.
He just has to be worried about if he'll become one of those quarterbacks that's on the fritz because their head coach got ditched a year later. But it will be an interesting one to follow for Chicago. Let's look at the next 5 selections. We've got Indianapolis going J.C. Horn, the corner from South Carolina. 22, Joseph Asai finds his way to Tennessee. The Jets take Tyson Campbell. Pittsburgh grabs an offensive lineman, Alex Leatherwood, out of Alabama. And Jacksonville grabs a lineman as well, the left tackle, in Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. Looking at these, I feel like it's pretty clear Indianapolis, Rocky Sin has not been quite as satisfactory.
He's been a little underwhelming.
Rhodes is kind of on his back foot. Leatherwood makes sense. They've had a lot of banged up players on the line.
They've been missing a right tackle since Marcus Gilbert left.
Exactly. Eichenberg is going to have to protect Trevor, and Cam Robinson's on his way out.
I can see Cam Robinson hitting the free agency.
Yeah, like without question.
Yes, although I thought the same thing about DJ Humphries, so let's not hold their breath.
They definitely threw the bag at DJ, but that leaves the Titans and the Jets, which I want to focus on Joseph Asai, more specifically why he is now over Gregory Rousseau. He just makes more sense for Tennessee.
He does.
In the most pure way, I think he'll make a better duo with Harold Landry.
Yes, most certainly. He will. Without a doubt.
It's a better feeling tandem, and once he gets some time to develop, he'll more or less just get to step into the Clowney role, and just, because they should pay Clowney. I don't think anybody should be paying Clowney what he wants.
What does Clowney
I think he still wants 13.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe 10 if he's lucky.
Yeah, if he's extremely lucky. And he knows not to bet against himself because he's been through a free agency cycle where he sat and sat and sat. But still, I don't think he really worked in Tennessee.
He didn't at all. He frankly should have done anything he could to stay in Seattle because he just took over for Bruce Irvin and he fit like a glove.
Yeah, it worked. They knew exactly what they needed. He came in and made the defense look not as awful.
And, I could be wrong, but it almost felt like they let go of Frank Clark expecting Clowney. I don't know. I think they were expecting to keep Clowney, and then he was just like, hey, I want $15 million.
They're like, oh, never mind, we don't want you.
And they're like, oh, we could have kept Frank Clark. Oh, man.
So it would have been so much better.
Whoops.
But yeah, I think Asai here just fits that mold a little bit better. Tell me a little bit about why Tyson Campbell goes over his other UGA buddy.
Well, remember what happened with Gladney?
Yes.
Jeff Gladney, at the time, as far as the predictive board and the talent and the projections, he went early.
Yes. He wasn't supposed to be till day 2.
No, he was expected to be a day 2 guy. And Tyson Campbell, I think, is getting the same treatment. But, much like Gladney, or at least what Gladney was expected to do, because a lot of people looked at those boards and thought, no, he's better than those guys. Tyson Campbell's in the same boat. He is, at least from what I have seen. I have watched the tape. I have gone over it. I have seen the other corners.
Yes.
I believe that Tyson Campbell is a higher level talent. So I see no reason why the Jets don't pull a Vikings and take this guy over what is considered better talent.
Yeah, even his own team.
I think he's better than Eric Stokes. I think it's a stretch to say he's better than Asante, but as far as his actual cover skills, maybe not his, ball hawking ability, his pass deflections, his numbers may not be as impressive, but I think that he's a better cover guy. So, if the Jets, don't pull a Jets, I think Tyson Campbell is the best pick here.
Yeah, and I think he fits the mold of what Robert Saleh will likely want to do whenever he comes in to remodel the defense. I think because you look at it, they did have a better edge rushing group in San Fran, but I don't think that you can really justify other than maybe Rousseau.
I think Roche on day 2 would be a better selection for them.
Roche or Jalen Phillips in day 2 since
Jalen Phillips, I think you pair it much better with Jordan Jenkins, who's about to get another extension.
Yeah, so they're going to go ahead and get some secondary help. Marcus May's not the only one back there anymore. And
poor Marcus May. Well, you know who's been who's been pretty good. Brian Poole.
Oh yeah.
But he's in the slot. We see all these great slot corners, but teams get roasted on the outside.
Jordan Lewis, Taven Young.
Bryce Hall's coming along.
Bryce Hall, I love.
Bryce Hall is coming along.
Hey,
He
we
is
were on that bandwagon. We loved Bryce
I
Hall.
did like Bryce Hall, but Bryce Hall took till like week 14 to be like, "Hey guys, I'm here."
It's like, hey, guess what? I'm actually kind of okay at football.
Hey, did you forget about me? Yes, we did, Bryce. Sorry.
In fact, whenever you said that, I kind of thought you were talking about the TikTok kid. Regardless, looking at the next 5, we have Cleveland grabbing Gregory Rousseau. We've been hinting about him for a while now. He's finally off the board. Yes. Baltimore is going to grab another wide receiver in Rashad Bateman. The Saints grab a linebacker from Tulsa and Zaven Collins. Green Bay gets themselves a receiver as well, Terrace Marshall out of LSU. And Buffalo grabs Eric Stokes, Tyson Campbell's running buddy, in Georgia. So the only one here that I really think's interesting enough to talk about is Rousseau.
Yeah, Bateman is Bateman.
Yeah, Bateman.
We talked about how not that interesting Bateman is, and how he is just going to be a receiver that'll probably have 800 to 900 yards a season. Really, what Jordan Matthews was his rookie season.
Yeah, with Baltimore, it's like Rousseau's gone, your edge rush option's out.
Yes.
We don't have a receiver. Willie Snead is your leading receiver right now.
Oh God.
Let's get somebody to help Marquise Brown a little bit. Zaven Collins, as long as he's a free agent.
Yeah, it is a linebacker filling in for a linebacker that they drafted last year, 3 years ago.
3 years, 4 years, something.
And then Terrace Marshall is Green Bay. I think last year we had them taking like 2 receivers.
Yeah. In
the first like 2 days, but no.
I think we had them taking LaVisca in the first round last year for our final mock.
And then how silly of us to think that they would, do something Aaron asked for.
Yeah.
And then Eric Stokes.
Buffalo, Levi Wallace is gone.
Is he in free agency?
Probably.
Oh well.
I doubt that they want anything to do with it.
But Greg Rousseau, how scary is that to think about? You're taking just a literal mountain of a human being in Greg Rousseau. Mm-hmm. Just a mountain of muscle and anger, it looks like, when he plays. And putting him next to easily the scariest athlete, well, I guess you could say in the AFC, because there are certainly some terrifying athletes other places too.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I was about to say in the NFL, but no, he's scary, but there are some more terrifying freaking bodies that are flying around the NFL.
Aaron Donald makes no sense.
Aaron Donald shouldn't exist. Freaking Danielle Hunter runs a 4.4 and he's 6'7", 300 pounds.
Yeah. TJ, I wouldn't say he's more athletic.
TJ's not more athletic, but he's just scary.
He is, yeah. But like you were saying, Rousseau next to Myles Garrett. God forbid. You have to keep up with Pittsburgh's defensive front because they can't be ruling the division because you can't score 7 points in a single game. You've got to get somebody to get at their quarterbacks. And lo and behold,
Rousseau's going to help.
Rousseau won't even really need that much technique if Myles Garrett's wearing them down on the other side. He's just going to be able to just run. Just run in a straight line.
Pick up and then throw whoever's in front of him.
Yes. That is going to be a very scary sight if it ever happens.
Instead of rushing, just get up from your 3-point stance and say, "Hey, give me your lunch money." They'll go running. That's all Rousseau needs to do.
Plus, Olivier Vernon likely out of.
That we should have led with that. Olivier Vernon's likely out. He's a massive cap hit, and if they don't restructure that contract, I don't see him staying.
No, I think that's all.
He will likely be cut with the amount of dead cap that they'll be saving.
Yeah, it's just.
They're not easy
situations. It's about time to move on from them. And for the final 2 selections of the draft, rounding us out, we have Jason Away going to Tampa, the edge rusher, and Kansas City, which will be the focus of this part, getting Rondale Moore from Purdue. Oh, God.
I took some pretty comprehensive notes here. Let me read them for you.
Okay.
Bruh!
It's just like how?
It's so unfair that here's the thing. We write this almost, we write this just before we come in. We put the notes down. I didn't want to take notes because it's just more genuine to be reacting from how this happened. So we were talking about it. I thought, we were looking at the Packers and we were like, all right, Terrace Marshall, put him alongside a route technician like Devontae, and I'm like, I don't know, they don't have a slot guy. I mean, Alan Lazard's not a real slot guy. He is 6'5". No. So I was like, I think Rondale Moore makes sense. And he goes, well, you know, when you put Terrace Marshall on the other side of Lazard, you know, he still fits in the slot. Like, he's running it fine. And I was like, do you really want him to fall to the Chiefs? And he says, yeah, I do. So Terrace Marshall's going to the Packers. And
think about how, okay, so they're going to let Sammy Watkins lead.
they can't afford it.
You already have two very fast receivers, in Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman. So you would think, oh, let's grab a big body. No. Let's get Rondell Moore. Let's just keep burning people's defenses.
They had a shot at big bodies in the previous draft.
Yes.
And then they had shots the year that they took Mecole Hardman. They had plenty of shots to take big bodies. They don't want big bodies. They want speedsters. And think about this. In those sets where they move Tyreek Hill to the backfield, you know what they can do if they have Rondell Moore? Put Rondell Moore in the backfield.
Yes.
And then leave Tyreek on the outside. Who are you going to guard? Are you going to get ready for a trick play where Rondell Moore hits the ball? Or are you going to cover deep? Are you going to move the safeties down? No, you look at Rosen over the top. There's no winning. If Rondell Moore goes to Kansas City Chiefs, the league is broken. Chiefs, you can't pick them in Madden anymore because it's over. You can't do it. It's not fair to the rest of the
No, it's like picking the All-Stars teams.
You can't take the Nets in 2K anymore.
No.
That's not allowed.
Just
For those of you who don't watch NBA, it's now just unfair. Almost as unfair as the 07 Patriots.
Yeah, and I think we're in complete agreement here. It's so insane to think about. And if you're a fan of parity in the NFL where any team can win, you don't want this pick to happen. Because if they get another one of these receivers, they're already going back. Pat Mahomes didn't even finish out the AFC Championship, or no, AFC Divisional game.
No.
Their team is just so insane. They can look at interior line or
Yeah, you know, I would
tackle.
put Josh Myers past him at this point.
Jalen Mayfield maybe at the right tackle.
Sure.
But come
Wait,
on.
no, they have Mitchell Schwartz. They wouldn't go for a tackle.
Oh, you're right.
I'm thinking left tackle, Eric Fisher.
Yes, I am thinking left tackle.
Regardless.
Yeah, and this just felt insane, an insane group to make, and too tempting to pass up on. So as we wrap this up, I'm going to put all 32 back up on. As you can see, there are the top 32 picks of the upcoming draft. And Topher, how do you feel about this draft?
You know, it was fun until we hit 32 and broke the league.
Yeah.
You know, burned down stadiums.
We gave them the final Infinity Stone. And
It was really just more. That pick was just too fun to pass up, because Rondell falls down the charts, and when you're doing the mock drafts, you know, every once in a while you'll forget some names. And I was looking at the receivers when he was picking for Green Bay, and I was like, no, Rondell Moore makes so much sense. And once I mentioned him going to the Chiefs, he was like, we're just gonna work.
Yeah, we're just gonna make it.
I got the Packers are gonna take a receiver. Why would they want to appease their franchise guy?
Yeah, especially
You know,
now that he's like, I don't know what my future is.
potential MVP throwing his future around. Why would they want to draft a receiver and like beg him to stay?
Yeah. What kind of silly decision making do you think Green Bay does? But
It's almost as good as the Miami Dolphins taking Jamar Chase 3.
all right, that has concluded our first round mock draft. Probably not the last one you'll see of us, but regardless, we'll bring back superlatives next time you see us. And as always, I'm Jackson McCarthy.
And Batman, the greatest detective in the world.
See you guys next time.